to us, oh. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they will not go. I said we tired with their lies. We tired with their promises that left us to all our damages. We tired with that speech they preach indeed, and now unique they deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrates us. So why can't you lie? Why can't you steal? Why can't you allow the citizens to grieve? You see, we just tell you that why we voted you. But you fool us, you screw us, you use us and later on abuse us. So why? The government should lie.
I like this song, George. I like this song. The why. How you doing today? Good afternoon.
Doing great. I'm doing great. What's going on?
Good morning to you. So
good morning to you too.
For me. Yeah. So what's new on your end, man? What's new on your end?
Nothing. Just working and planning a vacation, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going down to Miami Beach for a few days this weekend. My wife is going on a cruise with some friends. Saturday to Monday, so I'm still considering. Or I would just stay home and catch up with a lot of stuff because there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do in Miami Beach while she's gone?
I see that smile on your face.
I mean, other than just stay in a hotel.
No. I got a couple of friends down there.
Okay.
I got my man John Titus. You know John.
I know John.
Yeah, John down there. We gotta discuss some things on some of the stuff he's doing with supplements and stuff like that could make a difference for some of our folks down in Liberia, as well as a couple of people in East Africa who are very interested in that supplement.
Let me tell you something, man.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't getting nothing done in East Africa. I'm just telling you, based on my experience.
In East Africa?
In East Africa.
Okay.
Those people do not allow people to come in to their society and build businesses. I mean, unless you have tens of millions of dollars, you're not going to do a startup operation in East Africa.
Even if you're doing it with an East African who's like embedded in the society.
I mean, unless that person will be the owner, but I just have found that it's hard to do.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Very hard to do. So
that means to a large extent they gave their people the opportunities to do business then.
100%.
Wow.
100%. You're not coming in. I mean, like I said, unless you're coming in with earth-shaking dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But to just be an importer and a reseller, that market's not open to foreigners.
That should be a lesson learned for us right there.
But it is. It should be. I know it is. That's what they do, and that's how they keep their people in business. I mean, let me tell you, they will have the discussions with you. They will tell you yes, and then after a while, it will just fizzle out. And basically what they understand is, business is in those countries is for their citizens. Liberia is one of the only countries that I know of where people can just roll in and do retail business.
Wow. No, but seriously, I mean, the Chinese people are selling oil in Liberia now. I mean,
correct.
It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. And that's a whole separate topic, folks, in terms of...
Well, here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is if you don't put a stop to that early, after a while, when you got thousands of these people involved in your local business,
right,
it's difficult to get them out.
That's a fact. You can't extract them from the economy because you're so dependent on them.
Because after a while, they shut out Liberians.
But isn't that what has been done to a large extent?
And that's what. But the point is that the Chinese start at the very basic level. What will be the entry level for Liberians? So they take over that sector, and then Liberians are just shut off from it.
Right. And while we're sitting down, people should know, even in the agriculture sector, the Lebanese are moving in strong in that sector as well. So people can sit. The other man says the Chinese are selling river sand and crushed rocks as well.
Yes, they are in everything. They are in everything.
Yeah, we really, 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 that's why when I talk about Mr. Cummings's agenda and his focus on trying to empower Liberian entrepreneurs to do business, to do work, some people are doubtful. But if it doesn't happen, we'll never start to own our own economy. We'll never build it. These deals that people got right now on all the different things that these Lebanese got monopolies on to import is really, really affecting our economy. And if we can never get to that point to control the basic economy, and small business is what runs the economy, and we got to empower our people to be able to get to that point where they are confident business people.
Liberia is one of the only countries in the world that doesn't have a middle class. We just don't. There is no Liberian middle class.
Why disparity? The haves and the people.
You got the people who have money, and the vast majority of the people who have money, I'm willing to tell you about 90% of the Liberians who have money are all people who got that money because they worked for the government at one point or another.
Oh, without question. Most of, or they leverage that. Look at, it's sad. Even starting from Firestone when they were doing
everything. Every single thing. Okay, look, Barclay Farm runs from just about Carisburg to Kakata. It's not to where they have the Dew Bridge.
Right.
Just when you crest the hill to get to BWI. Okay, all of that area is not by mistake. It's about its proximity to the actual Firestone plantation.
Right. No, but that was an opportunity for people to process rubber, for them to bring it to Firestone and stuff. Instead of them diversifying, who could do that?
Isaac, what those people did, they simply bought the land and said to Firestone, okay, I got this land right next to your plantation. You plant the rubber, you tap the rubber, and give me a check every month. That's all they did. They didn't make any investment.
None at all.
None at all, other than the fact they bought the land. And they were buying land at that time for like $1 an acre.
Right. It was very cheap.
Right.
If I soon got it for less.
They made zero investment. Listen, this is why today, it's from that time. This is why today, Liberia never developed an investment climate. Beyond that, where the government, so for example, people say, oh, people should invest in Liberia. We don't have any investment infrastructure.
We really don't.
We don't. So if you ask somebody to invest and they ask you, well, what data do you have? Okay, what do you need the money for? And what do you estimate will be my return in the next 5 years? They can't tell you.
Well, it depends, because some people can, and they
can tell you based on what, Isaac?
Based on market studies. One,
there's which markets?
The agricultural markets. Our company, we just did a market study. It was very detailed. It was very good, and we validated some of the information, because when I did a feasibility study for implementing this integrated distributed utility network from an urban and a rural perspective, we did some, superficial, not in-depth market study, but we're able to hire a firm on the ground that was able to really go in there, especially with the pricing, with the demand, with the transportation of the products from, across the borders and stuff like that. You don't get perfect numbers because we just don't have that capacity to provide perfect numbers, but you do get a semblance and understanding of the sector and what your potential is in terms of production. But marketing is still a major problem, though, especially since the people who are the endpoint sellers, like we said, most of them are not Liberians. They can marginalize you, they can refuse to get your products, and then product shelf life, especially in the agricultural space, it's very limited. So there are just so many factors that can prohibit Liberians from actually really investing in the economy. But to a large extent,
we still come to the fact that, we have these government entities that operate independently of each other, and that's not how government is supposed to work.
Oh shit, we're in silos.
Okay?
Pure
So
silos.
we got the finance ministry, we got the labor ministry, we got all of these ministries that are supposed to, we got the commerce ministry, but they're all supposed to have kind of overarching functionality to make things happen for the Liberian economy, but that doesn't happen.
No, there's no real interagency cooperation, right?
So they pushed out this idea of the development bank. Okay, what became of the development bank? Nothing. They had the housing and savings bank. They never developed a mortgage industry. You understand what I'm saying?
No, but you see, this is a problem right here. Before we come back to what you just said about developing different sectors, this person said the French president asked President Weah, and he was unable to answer the question. He asked him, how does Mr. Weah want France to help? I'm assuming help, even though he's missing it, to help his country. And I heard the same thing back when Ellen was president with Mrs. Tappet, where I think it was Soros or somebody asked them, how can he help the education system? So the fact that cheat sheets for all of these different areas are just absent is very scary. We need to have that elevator speech for every sector, every industry, that the president is supposed to know, the ambassadors are supposed to know, the ministers are supposed to know, that if they ask you, what's your pressing need right now? What can we do? And you can be able to explain what we need you to do and why it's important to us.
Here's the thing, all right? All of the things we need are foundational.
Fact.
That's the problem. And these people don't understand that they are foundational. So if you say, well, what do we need to do to help your education system? You say, oh, well, you know, and we got students, but we know how many students we got, and we know how many school we got, and we don't know how many books we need. What am I supposed to do with that information? Because you've told me nothing. Okay?
We know how many teachers certify. We know what the teacher then stay.
Exactly. The stuff we need is foundational. We need to first establish what we have so that we know what we don't have.
And that inventory has not been taken.
It hasn't been done.
You know.
And it doesn't matter. Listen, what happens is Liberia kind of operates on this squeaky wheel principle. Whatever the crisis is today,
that's what we attend to.
That's what we're going to beg for money for to help us. Okay? And, you know, I've always said, and some people will be offended by this, but Liberia is like your relative that's on crack.
They come and make the promises, eh?
They come to you and they make the promises and they say, oh, my man, just give me $10, my man. You know, but this is a guy that comes to Thanksgiving dinner and he said, oh, my man, just give me $10. Let me go get McDonald's. You know, I don't let you white people turkey. All this food, yeah, you don't want to eat it.
You want to eat it. That only McDonald's you want to eat to go.
You only want McDonald's. You give him the $10 and you don't see him again for 5 days.
You're going to do it drugs, period.
And when you see him, he's strung out completely. But come the next holiday, he cleaned himself up. That's Liberia. It's like these people keep doing the same thing for Liberia over and over and over and over again. And the things keep falling apart. So my question is, has Weah withdrawn the nomination of the guy for?
That's an interesting question. I saw a little snippet of Spoon Show where they were asking Samuel Twe about the appointment. Mm-hmm. You know what was essentially his stuff?
What?
The president made an appointment. The appointment will stay. It will just go through the process. Can you imagine?
Yeah, but Twe has an angle. Okay?
Oh, a question. Yeah.
Twe has an angle. Okay. These people know that they can keep that appointment there. And eventually the international community will say, you know what? This airport situation is too much of a risk, so give them the money. It's all about going after the money. Okay, these people are not interested in Liberia. They're interested in what they can get from Liberia.
That's what I found out, bro. That's what I found out. I fought 2 years internally for that mindset to change and shift towards what can we do for the people. They're not interested, and that's why some people don't understand.
Isn't McGill the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs?
Yeah, I don't know what the young lady is talking about that they need. Well, maybe she's seeing the need of competent one, but there is somebody in the position. He's definitely not competent up to the job. But it's more than that though. It's the mindset that prevails. It's all about what can we get rather than what can we do for the people. And once that's absent, everything will fall in this direction. And Twe is somebody who doesn't take a lot of things serious. And in Twe mind, I've heard him say it before. What the president wants, the president gets. So if the president wants a appoint dog, they will support that dog appointment.
Yeah, but these are the people that's supposed to be giving the president good advice. These are the people. The president can't be the person who actually goes and looks up people's resumes and finds out. So what they're doing is they're causing the president embarrassment. And instead of saying, oh, we screwed up on this, so they're doubling down on it.
They double, triple, quadruple down because that's just the tendency.
And they say, we got to make it happen.
And the thing is, they will tell we are, oh, my man, they put them there against your appointment. And we are himself, unfortunately, he's not surrounded by the right people. The people around any leader are critical. Yes, you want a leader to have certain skills, no question now. I realize that is a necessity. But at the same time, the voices that are in the room that are pushing the arguments, look, George, I don't care who you are. If the people around you are colluding and bringing 10 of the wrong solutions to you, you ultimately have to pick one, wouldn't you? No. They already know all of them wrong.
No. Because I'm smart enough to know what's right.
Exactly. That's the difference.
We are not that person.
No, we are is not that one. He's not the one. He's not the one. So the fact that guy will even pass Senate confirmation is just crazy. This is somebody who ultimately has been fraudulent in his presentation of his academic credentials, and he does not have the competence.
He does
not run with a market. So for us to put that man into that position, it just speaks badly. So now we can come back to the skills thing that we're originally supposed to talk about. Even though all this is tied in, especially a point about that interagency relationship, right? So where is the Ministry of Finance projecting to get some of the tax revenue from? Where is the Ministry of Labor projecting that our economy can grow, our jobs on basket can grow? Where will we get jobs from? The Ministry of Commerce, where are the entrepreneurial areas that we can help develop for Liberians to focus on and being trained towards? So all these things don't work in a vacuum. Unfortunately, we have leadership that don't work in a vacuum. I don't know if the interaction is only limited to the once a month cabinet meeting or whenever they meet together at Wea's house.
Like I said, if somebody else becomes president come 2023, they just need to be honest with the Liberian people and let them know that it would take about 3 years to get this government turned around and understand all the things that we're supposed to do. So, for example, you could significantly expand the economy if you created a long-term mortgage market, and you could expand the economy because,
or just if you structure the financial system,
but we still come down to the only way you're going to do that is you're going to have to identify people, you're going to have to identify property.
Yes.
Okay. Before you can create that mortgage market.
Right.
Okay. Social Security, for example, could invest the money that is coming into Social Security into a mortgage fund where they would get long-term returns okay? And it would help to finance rapid construction, okay? This also means that we have to change our construction technology.
The construction technology, the zoning, all of those
Correct.
things related to having an
so-
effective housing system are necessary to come on the table.
So now we have to move from concrete housing to wood frame housing, to houses with vinyl siding. But that also means that we need to increase the security around housing. But in the meantime, it means that you have to train in 3 years people who can follow building instructions.
I mean, I'm looking at I forgot the team name, but it common here in the US, right? DC right now is moving toward efficient buildings and stuff like that. They are offering training in, people who can do energy audits in building to make sure they enforced. Right now they at a 20,000 foot spacing, total space for a building that required. They're gonna shift down to 10,000. Then eventually it's gonna be 5,000, where people have to do single family. So they are actually presenting training courses now for that group of people to be prepared to do those audits.
But we take our, like BWI and places like that. We need to expand those places. We need to make them available in more than one location. But at the same time, building, laying tiles, laying carpet, all of those things. We need to make sure that in the next 3 years, we can train people to do that. Because I will tell you, Isaac, we're building a house right now. And after you get the plans from the architect and the builder comes on, the people who are doing the building, they're not engineers.
No, they're not.
They're not engineers.
But
it's a bunch of Mexican guys who were saying, the stud got to be here. Yes, the builder is there. He's telling them, okay, you got to do so and so in the laundry room. You got to put a drain. And so when they're laying the foundation, they're doing all of those things. But once they start putting the frame up, these people are not rocket scientists.
They are not. And George, that speaks to what you just said and how it can improve the economy, right? If we say we're switching our way of construction, then we got to improve our wood sector.
Correct.
We got to have those, or 2x4 is a 2x4.
Right.
A 2x8 is a 2x8. Or screw for this is a screw for that, because they're standards. If we can move towards those things, our building industry cannot be what we want it to be. It would not be as expected. So that's why it comes to skills. How do we develop the capacity? How do we develop even the thinking that we have to go in that direction?
We need an overarching government approach to bring all of these things together. Because now we're talking about developing the capacity to change and changing our construction methodology. Yeah. But now we're also talking about developing an internal wood sector, okay, where we're producing 2x4s, where you got companies that will produce, what's that thing name? They bring the, if you're not building a flat roof house, the thing on the top of the house that holds that slants.
Oh, do you mean the framing for the roof?
Yes, it has a name. I forgot the name, but it is usually the shape of a triangle.
Yeah,
and they bring it already constructed, and then they bring a kind of like a crane.
In Liberia, we built that thing from scratch.
Yeah, but Isaac, but we don't even build it with the right sticks.
That's true.
Okay, so now here's the thing. Because if you do it correctly, now you can put solar panels on top of the house. I'm not sure that the type of construction that's done in Liberia can support a solar panels on top of the house.
Well, they can because we just did a construction on a farm
Mm-hmm.
where we put solar panels on top of a slightly reinforced structure in terms of the
Yeah, but it
roof.
was you said that you just said slightly reinforced.
Yeah, but no, but I mean, if it's really light and stuff, no, you won't be able to do it. That one, I agree with you.
Right. So my point is, the trusses. That's what they're called.
All right.
They're called trusses. So when the trusses have to be of a certain strength.
Yes.
Okay. And so when you put them on there, because for example, our house is going to be a flat roof house.
Okay.
But even though it's a flat roof house, you can walk on it. You can walk on the roof.
Oh.
Okay. Because if you say every solar panel is 100 pounds, and you're looking at putting 12 solar panels on the roof of the house, you're looking at adding a 1,200 pounds permanently to the roof. It has to be able to support that. Okay, even the quality of zinc that you use to put on top of the house, Isaac, makes a difference.
And everything you're saying right there, we actually will be finding out soon. And so let me just show you an example so you can see what I'm talking about. Ooh, it's about finding this, huh? I'm trying to find the images. All right. So let me see if I can share this screen. Because it's important for people to understand the possibilities of these things. So let me share here just so somebody people can see that. I understand your point, and it's probably right, and we'll probably find out. Hopefully not the hard way, but that is doable. It can be done. Um, but I want to share with you what I'm talking about here. You see, these are the frames that the solar panels will be on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you see, we lay them on top of the roof, and you see,
Right.
this is like a regular Liberian roof.
Sure.
We did some slight reinforcement. This is like the base of the roof. We had to go and put some blocks and cement there to make sure that that lower structure is strong. And then this is the structure right here. These are the solar panels.
Mm-hmm.
And then we on top there, laying the panels now. And this is what you get.
Okay.
So it's possible, but I agree with you, and this high low. The structure has to be firm to be able to hold those panels and to be able to withstand some of the monsoon winds and stuff. Because when I was on Lynn Street, sometimes when we were kids, we used to find our roof sometimes in different area when
Right.
with a real serious storm, that roof is gone. Hopefully these things will sustain because it's raining a lot in Liberia right now. So all of these are just the opportunities of what we have in Liberia and the kind of skills that our Liberian people have to get these things done. Okay, everybody cries for capacity. So how do we really improve the capacity in the direction of where development is going? And like you said, housing should be a big market for our future. Agriculture should be a big market. So what are the specific skills and abilities we need our people to have for them to be able to be competitive, not only be able to work in Liberia, but probably be able to work anywhere. So that's why I shared that McKinsey study with you. And I will just bring up the different categories that the folks have referenced in the article talking about, what they expect for the future of workforces to be. So let me see if I can share that screen here, and we can talk about them a little bit. So, yeah, I think this is it. So McKinsey has done this study, and they said they created 4 categories: the cognitive, the interpersonal, self-leadership, and digital. And across those 4 categories, they developed 13 skill groups. And within those different skill groups, they develop something they call deltas, which is actually the skills, but sometimes because it's not just only skill, they give the label delta because they had this explanation here. We call them deltas rather than skills because they are a mix of skills and attitudes. Adaptability and coping with uncertainty are attitudes, for example. So that should be one of the key qualities
Let me tell
of
you,
any.
okay?
Uh-huh.
When I read this stuff,
Yeah.
I just got stuck on cognitive.
That's the beginning.
I just got literally stuck on cognitive.
The first one, critical thinking, is where anybody who knows Liberia should get stuck
Structured problem solving, logical reasoning, understanding biases, seeking relevant information. Okay, listen, just that first square, we are not capable of that. If you have that first square, you can work through everything else. We don't have it at all. Liberian people they're not structured problem solvers. They come with biases that they are unwilling
to let go. Seriously.
To let go of. They don't reason logically very well. I mean, every single area in that first square, that is the most basic piece before you can graduate to work plan development. Well, you can't make a work plan development if you can't reason logically and solve problems and have an approach to structural problem solving. You can't. And time management. Okay, agile thinking. You can't do any of that. Mental flexibility. You can't be mentally flexible if you can't throw away your biases.
And they talk about adapting a different perspective. How many times?
You can't do any of that if, listen, there's a futurist named Alvin Toffler. Mm-hmm. And he says that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but it will be those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Okay? And this is the problem. Another good friend of mine, Theodore Hodge,
right?
He said most Liberians stopped learning when they were in the 8th grade.
But most Liberians don't get to the 8th grade.
No. Even the ones that go to college and get master's degrees, they seem to lack the critical thinking skills beyond the 8th grade. All they did was the work.
George, I think critical thinking skills are developed before that, though. And it's always nurtured, because I think between like 6 years to 10, 11 years, that's when that critical thinking skill ability is usually developed. And that's why some people say we shouldn't even focus on a population that's, 20, 21, 22. They're too old. We got to really focus on the young children. And unfortunately for us, majority of the young children are not in school. They are not learning. They are not getting that opportunity to develop the skills that they need. Just the basic
Right. So,
skills.
I mean, the McKinsey stuff, the question is, how do we get our people to just do the things in the first square alone?
Yes. No,
Okay.
I'm with you. I'm with you. So let's talk about it. What can we do to get people to
here's the
think this
thing.
way?
One of the things I think one of the greatest harms that has come to learning is social media. While there are a great many things that you can adequately learn from YouTube, there's also a lot of junk on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't have critical thinking skills, if you
can't
don't know
discern.
how to find information,
You
you will end up in the wrong basket.
And that's where sometimes you find some people arguing stupidly because they have gotten some wrong stuff with their Google search, and they just believe that's the gospel, and it's not.
And so let's talk about understanding biases. I have a position open for somebody to come and take over and launch our annual wellness clinic.
Right.
And so this lady came in for an interview, and she was highly recommended. And she comes in, and the first question I asked her, I said, "Are you vaccinated?" Mind you, this is somebody who's been working as an MA for the last 10 years. And I said to her, "Are you vaccinated?" And she said, "No." Because, and I said, "Why not?" She said, "It's my choice." And I said, "Well, that's going to be a problem for us." And I said, "But just give me some information as to how you arrived at that choice." And she said, "Well, I've been working in the medical field, and I have seen more patients who have had vaccinations, who have had adverse effects like strokes and all of that." So I said to her, I said, "Now that you've told me that, I need you to show me that information."
Yep.
Because I have access to the federal adverse effect database. It's right here on my computer. I said, and so if the practice that you're working in is seeing these high incidences of people with adverse vaccine effects, it means you're not reporting them.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, because I work at FDA and I know the reporting level. I help.
Okay. I said, it means you're not reporting them. I said, this system is updated every single day. I said, so what we're discussing here is not information you got from the federal government.
No, her own
person. What we're discussing here is your bias. You're looking for a reason. I said, so I will just tell you now that this interview is over.
Yes,
and there's no way I can hire you.
She's not a good fit.
And the reason I can't hire you is I can't have somebody in my practice who is a misinformation monger. Our duty is to protect our patients. But again, it just goes to show you how people's personal biases can interfere even with their professional training. Because this woman, she's trained. She's been in the medical field. And this is what she's telling me. And because of my role in the practice, I have to be on top of this information. Okay? Like, for example, with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, I think they had like 7 or 8 cases of people with blood clots. Boom, I got an email.
That's how it works. So
I told her, I said, I get this information. So what you're saying, your practice must literally not be reporting it to the FDA. I said, if that's the case, that's a problem.
It is. So to circle back to what we're talking about, that person presenting their bias as a fact, as a reason for not taking action that has been like studied and seems to be for the greater good. And that's what constantly happens in our environment, where our people tend to just, once they believe this thing, it's like nothing else exists, nothing else is reality, and that is the reality, and they try to impose that reality on other people. So it's like we really, really have to start to push this critical thinking. And I agree with Jimmy that it doesn't fully develop until adolescence, but it starts from somewhere. It starts early. It starts you trying to show separation between different things, trying to identify, things for young people, try to make them think about the reasoning why they're taking any specific action. Or also, if this thing is this on one side, what's on the other side? You don't have to agree with what's on the other side, but what are the other options? What's on the other side?
And let's go back to our recent experience with the death of Princess Cooper. And how people were so wedded to the fact that it was foul play.
Many people still are.
Well, so once the facts were presented, I haven't heard anybody saying that they disagreed.
I know I have a young man, Stephen Vogba, who is insistent, and he claims there have been additional information. I should find Stephen.
But so here's the thing. I don't want to claim.
No, it got to be factual. He got to bring the facts.
You have to show me the facts. Don't tell me somebody told you. Okay? You have to provide the facts. Because the minute you say somebody told you, my position is you're lying. That's my automatic position.
Well, how you come to make
because
a case?
Even the friend that supposedly got the phone call that Princess says somebody killed the people killing me. She's on tape. She says she never said that.
And then there are other people who argue that whole thing was a dog and pony show that was set up to get to that
Here's the
position.
problem with conspiracy theories. The conspiracy theory says anybody who rejects the conspiracy theory is actually a part of the conspiracy.
So you said all the way over here, you're part of Princess Death too.
I'm a part of the conspiracy. Somebody is paying me. I have a reason for saying to people that the medical experts' opinion is credible.
And that's another mindset.
So you understand what I'm saying? But what it leads us to, if you look at that, structured problem solving. We had a person who died, and the way to solve the way to get to how she died was to do an autopsy. Was to do it in a gross examination and all of that. Logical reasoning. If you follow what the guy said, this organ will only look this way if XYZ.
Right, and it's proven scientifically.
That's correct. So unless you are saying, no, what you just said is wrong, and you have evidence to that fact, okay, then you can't do that. They try to say that the people who did the autopsy were not forensic pathologists. But their findings were based on not forensic pathology.
And they were not making forensic claims either. They were making physical
they
claims.
They did what's called a gross examination, and they said, this is what we found. And this is why this happens. So what the people who didn't know any better were trying to do, They were trying to discredit them to begin with.
And that's usually the first step for people. That's the
Okay?
first step
They wanted to discredit people with the relevant expertise. So at the end of the day,
we do that a lot. We do
when
that
the
a lot.
autopsy results come in, I expect Martin Colley to issue a full-throated apology to the doctors. Okay?
Well, supposedly now, I believe they have identified their forensic pathologist to come and do the test or something, but there's a
right.
delay.
But once the results come in, because let me tell you what was bothersome about what he did. He wrote online that he has access to the school transcripts and he will release them if they didn't change their position. And my first problem with that is legally.
Yeah, what a privacy.
It's a privacy violation.
Yes.
Okay.
How do you get access
and
to
the fact that he's so free with this privacy violation is a problem for me.
It's a problem for the country because we don't have strong privacy laws. Look at some of the medical stuff that comes out. People go to the doctor.
People are entitled to privacy, and violating their privacy is not the role of a private citizen. To say, I'm going to release your grades, I got your medical school grades, I will release them. That was a threat. And for me, that threat was unconscionable.
But that again, look, there's just so many mindsets. This whole holding people hostage and threatening them to expose them to do this is something that affects our society. It limits.
I'm not saying that maybe his heart isn't in the right place, but I strongly object to this idea that he sits on top of people and says, I'm going to release your grades, as if he's the judge of their competence.
He's the moral authority on most things, right?
So it doesn't make a difference if the person had a C in anatomy. They still know more about anatomy than you do. Because you never took anatomy.
And there's just some people who don't take their academics serious until a certain point.
But this idea of threatening people who are professionals to conform with your opinion, who is not, and you are not a professional, it becomes problematic because it discredits entire segments of the society, professional segments.
And it discourages professionals from dealing in certain things.
From wanting to be involved.
They don't want that headache. They don't want that stuff. I know I've harassed all the professionals, all our schoolmates, all other people we know from our era who are, competent, educated, and everything. And many of them don't want to be bothered.
No, they don't have the time to be fighting with people who are trying to discredit them. So at the end of the day, we're still stuck on just that first block in cognitive.
So now the question is, how do we move out of that block? What do we need to do?
But let me say something that's going to really piss people off.
You're on a road today.
The IQ, if you just type in Liberia IQ, it would tell you that the IQ of people in Liberia is about 69. That's borderline retarded. Okay? But what it actually means, Isaac, is when you look at this first block, we don't check any of them.
Oh man, you gave her 2 extra points. The report says 67, yeah, you say 69.
Where you see? It means we are one of the stupidest republics in the world.
Well, they say we share we share the number 37 position with people like what? Guinea-Bissau.
Look,
Yeah.
I will never forget in 2007 when I was returning from Liberia. There was a woman whose son was going to Ghana and he was traveling alone, and the little boy was about 9 years old. Okay? The little boy was 9 years old. And we got to where we were staying. I was staying at a friend of mine's place in Ghana. And the boy comes into the room and I push the light switch. And the light comes on. Isaac, that boy goes to the switch and he pushes it and it goes off. He pushes it, it goes on.
He did it how many times?
He kept doing it. He kept doing it.
When you know, you know.
And then I realized that he had never seen a light switch before. So when they talk about IQ, they're talking about these things, for example, that our kids are born with.
And that's another thing that some people argue about some of these kind of tests. They are not necessarily geographic or racially, appropriate.
They are about your capacity to fit into the modern world.
That modern world as exists over there. That doesn't
mean as it exists today. Okay, keep talking. I have a picture I will share with you.
Look, but George, that look right here in the US. The how should I say it? The lexicon in some parts of urban America are way different from some parts of peri-urban, semi-urban, America. And even on these different kind of tests, there's been arguments that that's not what we see in our Black community. That's not what we see in our Haitian community. That's not what we see in our Spanish community. So some of those tests and some of the words that are there, some of the scenarios, some of the different things are not things that we are responsive to. So we got to give some level of consideration. But again, when we talk about we're trying to go to the 21st century and we're talking about a modern world, we need to catch up. We are behind, George. We are so badly behind.
Look, I had that experience. We went to visit a friend of ours, and the person had one of those old Smith Corona typewriters, the manual typewriter. Okay, it was on a pedestal, and my son was about 8 years old.
Oh, they don't know that.
He said, "Dad, what is that thing?" And I said, "Oh, it's a typewriter." He said, "What do you do with it?" I said, "Well, you put paper in it and you type." He said, "So it's like a computer?" I'm like, "No, it's not." So I told the lady, I said, "Can you give us a piece of paper so I can show him how it works?" So I put it in, to say, "A quick wild fox jumps over the lazy dog, every good boy does fine." And I made a mistake. And he says, "Just backspace." And I told him, I said, no, George, you can't backspace. You have to erase it or you have to start again. He looked at me for a long time. He said, "That was so dumb." Okay. But it just goes to show you the world that they are born in.
Right.
So he doesn't know a world without a computer.
Right.
He just doesn't.
It doesn't apply to him. And it
doesn't apply to him.
Virtual reality will be what it is.
That now that we have these pieces of equipment, the access to knowledge that they give us, the fact that we don't have that same access in Liberia means we fall further and further behind when it comes to acquisition of information and knowledge.
Well, a question, George, and that's part of the categories that they have over there as well. Part of the deltas, that access to information or being able to utilize information or even find information.
Right.
But look what they tell us that Liberia has a quite low level of intelligence. It is based on a low education level and economic situation. Average Liberian income per capita is the third lowest in the world. So again, Josh, we got to find a way to build our capacity because
we have to start. Listen, one of the best courses I ever took in my life, I took in the 11th grade.
English?
No. Plain geometry. Edward Sambula.
Prof. Samula. Hey, Samu.
But it was, you know what geometry does? It teaches you reasoning.
Oh, well, a question.
When you solve for those angles, you solve for those, when you solve those problems, you have to go step by step by step.
Yes.
Okay. And that basically stuck with me. So when I came to America and I started to learn programming, it was easy for me. Because you got to do A, B, C, and D.
Right. And you got to bring in corollaries and other things that relate,
Correct,
that back your statement.
So, that's, so I'm not even sure that kids in Liberia are taking geometry today.
Well, I don't know what the curriculum is. I will hope they are taking geometry.
Or logic, just a course in logic.
No, I don't think we took courses in logic either, though. But
we took geometry.
Yes, we did take geometry. But what I'm saying is, it starts from somewhere, and it got to be an early age thing where we allow people to question things. We allow people to think differently, and we got to find a way to get some of these intellectual tools in our young people's hand, whether it's computer, whether it's, having access to the internet, whatever it is, and, sometimes people can take for a joke some of these toys. But some of these toys are real learning toys. There's a lot of information people can learn, utilizing some of these learning tools that are out here. And unfortunately, we don't try to expose our children to those. It could be like the guys that they just said on our page, a poverty thing. We are so poor, we can't afford it. But at some point, we have to move forward. So today we're targeting the 1 hour. I think we're able to touch a little bit on the kind of skills we need, even though we're stuck on quadrant 1, the square 1, with critical thinking. But I think we can start off.
So the question is, I think we have to try to get some educators involved and find out what we can do. I would just tell you this. I'm talking to the people from the CWA Alumni Association. And our class is taking on a project. And part of our project is how to get internet to the school. But then I went back to the fact that in 2013, I had written a white paper for Ellen called Disrupting Education in Liberia. And the whole idea was to bring in Khan Academy as a substitute, as a way to provide quality education to people in Liberia, and have them try to integrate it into the school system. Well, the mistake I made was trying to have it done on a global level. So what we're looking at now, Khan will allow you to literally set up your own Khan server and download all of their content.
But we've done it. You remember the two guys I was working with?
Right.
Massaquoi.
George Anderson and the other guy.
Yes, George Anderson and Jerry Massaquoi.
So
and just imagine, I believe the school or whoever the administrator was rejected having that opportunity. Why are people like that?
Right. So the idea here now is that perhaps we can launch a pilot at CWA, because at least we don't have to get the government approval for that. Okay? And when you can do that, you don't need to have a separate math instructor, a separate biology instructor. All you need is proctors. So you could even hire kids from, even hire the university students to come in and just oversee as opposed to deliver the material.
But don't do the more than mean situation where they were not really delivering things to the kids though. They
No.
usually
But we're not collecting money from anybody.
all right. Okay.
Okay, so this is something where we would set up the server in the school. We would put couple of widescreen, like 60-inch monitors
Mm-hmm.
in the classrooms, and you would just have somebody there to make sure that the kids are paying attention. But it even has its own testing and grading system.
Mm.
Okay, and students can move along, right, as they become proficient in a specific area. So it's something that I think, because when you look at it and you say, because one of the things we INM said is we're going to get teachers from Nigeria. You remember that?
Yes, I remember. They still
Right.
waiting for it. Did the teachers ever come?
But Khan Academy is essentially what would be called a force multiplier.
Yep.
So if you structured a program like this, you don't need to bring teachers from Nigeria. Okay, now there may be some challenges with the language, but they have immersion courses that you can require. Say the students all take a 6-week immersion course so they can understand the language better.
Yeah.
But my point is, we have to be innovative in our thinking. Okay? Because we're so far behind that we're not going to be able to get the type of bodies in that are willing to work for nothing or for next to nothing or not get paid.
Our generation.
And we have seen
our retired generation.
But there are not enough of us.
That's true.
There's not enough of us who want to come to Liberia and teach.
There's so much need, though.
There's a lot of need, and so my question still becomes, and I'm willing to hear. Okay, Maman, this guy named Moman Harris.
I thought it was a female, but
okay, or lady. How many students have access to the computer at home? Well, they don't necessarily have to have access to the computer at home. Okay, you can give them access to a computer for the same amount of time they would have had access to it in class.
So you're talking about like an after-school program or something?
You can have an after-school program. You can have a computer access lab. Because everybody doesn't have a computer at home, it doesn't mean they can't have a computer to use.
And that can be part of their daily course work.
Exactly.
Different classes have different access, but it got to be a commitment from the top that this is the direction we're going in.
It has to be
policy driven, and it is not at this point. So, George, thank you for today. I think we gave people some things to think about, and hopefully they can really, really think about it. Those who really think this solution to our development is an easy thing, no,
it's not.
We've got to do the heavy lifting.
About Khan Academy, it's not something that I can come and say, oh, let's just put this in and it will work. We have to figure out what the choke points are and try to solve those problems.
Yes.
And this lady says it will be expensive, but you take CWA, right? CWA has 300 students. Look at this. Can you see these?
Yep.
Okay, you know what these are? These are
Nope.
5 Android tablets.
Okay.
That I have just sitting in my office. Okay? They've never been used.
And a lot of people got a lot of those idle things around.
I bought them for a project for the pandemic, and I didn't have a need for them anymore.
I got enumerators who I need to put in the field, George. Maybe they can use those.
Okay, so I got 5 of these things. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 laptops that are older, but they just shut down. They're not being used at all.
But then, George, we gotta talk because there are people.
No. I keep in my stuff.
I'll buy it
when the
for you.
CWA program starts,
Uh-huh.
they will need those things.
Okay.
But my point is that you got a lot of people. Okay, so suppose we need 150 tablets for CWA, for the kids at CWA to use.
You can spread
That
that
shouldn't be
around.
that hard to do.
No, it shouldn't be. You can spread that around. I mean,
It shouldn't be that hard to do.
Luckily for us, we got a lot of successful CWA graduates all spread around
Right.
the world.
But the way I see it working is when the 25 kids come to say the Khan Academy biology lecture, they will pick up a tablet, they will sign into the tablet, and they'll be able to do their work.
Yeah.
When they're leaving, they would leave the tablet there. They go to the biology class. They pick up the tablet. They sign into the tablet and do their work.
Wonderful.
Okay, it is possible. But my point is,
it takes
rather
planning.
than say
we passed the critical thinking here, so we can go to the planning. So
no, but rather than say, "Oh, we can't do it,"
but that's the first defense mechanism most people
have to be willing to try.
We can't.
Because it's not that we will not fail. Okay, Benjamin Mays says it is not failure that is a sin. It's low aim. There is nothing that you try to do that you can guarantee will be 100% successful.
No.
When you start.
You don't know the journey.
The success,
so you got to take that first step.
Is based on you building on the failures.
Step by step.
That's what the success is. So Mama Harris, I understand. And yes, there's a lot of money that has to be invested. That shouldn't be. There's a lot of money that's being stolen too.
And that's the thing. If we can reprioritize our budget and shift some of these percentages at a high level towards education, towards agriculture, towards healthcare.
So I'm hoping
areas
to see what we can do in CWA as a pilot. And if it works, being willing to share that blueprint with other schools and with the government. And say, listen, you guys can duplicate this. So that's where it is.
Thank you, George. All right, folks, we appreciate you watching, spending your time with us. We hope that you can share this with other folks because we really, really need to start to reimagine a new Liberia. We need to start re-engineering a new Liberia, rebuilding a new Liberia. So all of this, it takes us having these discussions, getting your input. Like I said, those who are professionals in certain areas and want to be a part of the show, you are very welcome. Anytime you can come on and join us for us to have these discussions and be able to see how we can offer solutions. Yeah, sometimes people may not hear it. Yeah, Percy, George Guider, 1 year ahead of me at CWA.
Percy went to CWA?
You know when they're asking that, then he went there. Percy, ain't you see that man, sir?
We got to revoke him, man.
Oh. You said we got to take your Fox certificate away, Percy.
Yeah, Percy, we got to revoke your Fox certificate. But no, we just have to constantly be thinking about how we can most efficiently move this country forward. And for me, because I'm a technologist, I'm always thinking about the intersection of technology and everything.
Technology and actual application,
everything, whether it's medicine, whether it's housing. There's always, I said to somebody once, I said, it doesn't matter what business you're in, you are a technology business.
In these modern times, yes.
Because your business is only as good as your technology.
Right, or your access to the level of technology you need to conduct your business. Yes, fact.
So you take my medical practice, for example. Guess what? Today, the fiber optic line went down. 8:30, I got a call. We don't have internet.
So you can't even do all your telemedicine, nothing like that today.
But guess what? I've already planned for that.
So
I have a hotspot.
There you go.
We turn the hotspot on. Everybody can access it. Yes, there's an inconvenience. They can't connect to the network printer. But guess what? You can save that stuff, and print it later. But you can access the EMR. You can get on and do you can get the phone calls and all of that. But it takes planning. And you know how it took planning? It took planning of it having failed once before.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You had to fail before so you can know.
It failed.
And the thing is,
I was like, okay, what happens? And it fails maybe twice a year for maybe 3 hours at a time. But that 3 hours at a time is critical if it happens, if you have 20 patients to see.
Well, it seems like Percy is happy to know that you're a graduate of his school as well. So that's good.
Okay. So Moman, trust me, every success that we have is built on the fact that we have also had failures.
I want to give my man Tattoo Tubman of New Holland a shout out. I'm wearing his shirt today. New Holland.
Where is he?
He's not yet. I mean, he's in Liberia. He has a car dealership, and he also into the agricultural space in terms of equipment, other stuff like that. So we went together to the fair, the agricultural fair that was at Cary. I don't know if they doing that again this year or they did it already.
Are they talking about bringing small rice mills in?
We've been talking about that. I got a funny story that I guess my man, let's end this show for the day.
All right.
All right, folks. We'll see you. Usually when George and I get together, there's a lot of strong debate and arguments and discussion on issues, but we are able to narrow it down and get to a point where we kind of share similar thoughts. So let's all of us come with unbiased perspectives and try to see how we can get to the right solution for whatever thing we want to talk about for Liberia. And that's the only way we can get to it. So thank you for watching. We look forward to engaging you next week. What's that? Next week, Wednesday. Okay. So have a wonderful weekend. But don't forget, on Friday, we'll be able weekend review. And this week has been a hot week in terms of news, in terms of actions, and in terms of things that affect Liberia. Oh, Percy, I thought we painted the school building again. All right, I will check. But I don't know if you've seen CFB recently. I'll go find pictures. Don't let me go find pictures right now in our Atan classroom. What do you call it in our chat room for our class. Because I remember seeing a picture of CFB. Do you know that? Oh, man. Percy, I will share those pictures with you. And I don't know where are you in terms of participating with the new Alumni Association, but we revamped the whole thing. We went global. So it's now CWA Global Alumni Association, not that play association where Wanasu were trying to own for himself. I have to say he Mr. CWA or you're born with a name CWA stamp on his face. But CWA is moving. We got our alumni are serious on making a better future for those young people out there. Yeah, I will share with you. It's just that I can't find it right now, but I will share with you. So peace, folks. We love our school. We are the Foxes. We pride ourselves in our intellectual ability, even though those abilities were developed from our kindergarten, elementary, and junior high schools. But once you become a Fox, you appreciate academic excellence. Thank you.